Let's see here. Is this working? Yeah, it is. Cool. Sweet. All right. It is working. Wait till everybody comes on in here. Give it a few minutes.
Perfect.
How you been, by the way? What are you up to right now?
I'm doing good, just scoping out some mobile home parks and RV, trying to acquire, but
So
just underwriting and see which one I want to go with.
so let me ask you something. So what made you make a pivot like you did from flipping single family homes to now you're focused on mobile home parks and RV parks?
That's a good question.
Is this a shiny object for you, or is this your dedication? Did you move to mobile home parks because somebody told you it was going to be easier?
Oh no, not quite. I always wanted mobile home parks and just, manage them and but I wanted to just raise capital first, so I went to wholesaling and just start raising money.
Mm-hmm.
So people say you just have to dive in your original one and just go with that.
Right,
You don't
right.
have to really focus on raising capital. Unless you want to do that route, then you're just gonna go backtrack and my so I'm going back to my original plan and just go for it and start raising capital and understand the whole logistics and go from there.
Okay. Love that. So, are you going to do any more fix and flips with single family homes?
Oh yeah, since I'm already
What just happened? Hold on. Did my internet just go down?
my team
What just happened?
have flips, then I'll just, bounce and be partners with them instead of doing my own.
Did I just get dropped by the way really quick? Did I come back in? Like my entire Zoom just crashed.
Yeah, looks like it because it went blank and I was talking to myself.
Okay, go back to what you were saying. I said, are you still focused on single family or at all, or are you only focused on mobile homes and RV parks?
Yeah, I'm focused on mobile home parks, but since Mitch and Meili wanted me to be mentors for their students, I just hop on with them and be mentors. And if my students have projects and flips, and I'll just partner up with them and do flips with them instead of doing my own.
Got it. Cool. Well, good for you guys. Good for you. Um, Josh, how you been, buddy? Haven't seen you in a little while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Just been scattered about, really. I'm still trying to find flips, but the market's really got me scared to do that right now in Arizona. A lot of inventory piling up.
So
Um,
I wouldn't be afraid of doing flips in this market. I still see properties that we were doing are selling, and other friends of mine that are doing are selling. It just needs to be priced right, and it just needs to be at the top of the market. It needs to be top quality in the market, right? So if you're competing against other flippers, just make yours look better and have it be the right price. So it's just AKA being a little more conservative on your numbers. But I mean, here's the deal though. You could also find great properties right now at a discounted rate because the properties are stacking up. Am I right?
yeah, for sure. So I'm looking for that wave. It doesn't seem like the wholesalers have caught on, with with their with their pricing, or maybe they're getting better deals and not passing any of that along.
Or
Um,
or maybe it's that the wholesalers are not good enough to actually give good enough
maybe,
offers.
yeah, I would bet that's probably the majority of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm also looking at. I'm interested in building stuff too. I saw some people doing build to sell. I'm not sure build to rent would work for me here, just because everything. Again, it's just really expensive to build here.
Yeah.
Um, So I'm looking at that because I think that'd be build to sell could still work. I think pretty and have really, really good spreads there. So
Yeah. Well, I want to share with you guys what we're doing today for the first time. So while I'm with you guys on the Zoom, because you guys are in the private community in Discord, I'm also simultaneously streaming this to YouTube as a YouTube Live to just try to get other people to be aware. And so they'll be able to listen to your questions that you guys ask. They can also, you know, if they want to join, they can also join our Discord server. But you guys being here, you guys obviously get direct access to me and going over your problems and what you're facing right now. So today I plan to talk a little bit more about like dispo, finding buyers, finding people with capital and stuff like that. But I also want to give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions. Josh, you haven't been here in a while, so now you're here. What are you working on that I can help you with?
Like I said, I'm trying to find deals that are flippable, like I said, and trying to position myself so that I see deals come and go all the time because I don't have capital to pounce on them.
Sure.
So I need to make more of an effort to just like line up people that have capital, even though I don't have a deal yet. Because I see stuff come and go. I'm like, shit, don't have any. Sorry about that. Don't have any.
Hey, bro, I don't give a shit about what language you use.
Well, I was thinking of the YouTube, the YouTube on there. So, but yeah, so having capital ready to go when I do see something has been really hurtful. Like that's a big problem.
So let me ask you a question. So I'm a big proponent at find the deal first, the capital will follow. And reason I'm like that is I've made the mistake in the mindset that you're currently sitting in that like I need a deal, but if I find a deal and I don't have capital, then I can't get the deal. Like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Always the deal. Always the deal will come first. Like this is like this segues really nicely into the whole thing about buyers list. Since I launched Investor Semester, I'd have to say the most common question that I'm being DM'd with is either, Jeremy, what's your buy box? I'm trying to build my buyers list. Or, hey, everybody, does anyone have recommendations on how to build a buyers list? It's very clear to me right now that a lot of gurus are pushing out the idea of building a buyers list first is the priority when it's not at all. It's giving offers. It's getting contracts. It's getting deals that you can actually find a buyer with. Same thing goes for capital, bro. If you were to find a deal that comes by that you underwrite the numbers and the numbers make sense, the property makes sense, you comp it out, everything looks great. Do you have the ability to then go find a buyer or go find a lender? You absolutely do, right?
Yeah, should be able to. Yeah.
Not should, absolutely can. And it could probably take you a matter of just a couple of days. Like you could potentially say, you can make a post across Facebook groups, across our Discord and say, guys, I've got a banger deal here in Phoenix. I'm looking for capital. Who wants to, is it going to be a creative purchase where you only need to come in with the renovation expenses? Or is it B, is it hard money where you're coming in to purchase it with cash and do the renovation? And if the numbers make sense and the deal is good enough, could you find a hard money lender to give you not only purchase price, but also renovation expenses? Yes, you could. Now, let's say you're not at 80% of value. Could you find another student or somebody that has 20% or 5% or 10% that they can bring you in third position, that they're going to give you the capital that you need to give the hard money lender to provide you the funding you need for the purchase and for the renovation? You absolutely can. And so by finding a private money partner, someone that will partner with you and say, listen, you're not only going to give you an interest rate on your money that you're helping me with this 5 to 20% down, whatever I need, but you're also going to be coming in and I'm going to give you an equity share by making this be possible. So now you flip that property, you make your profit. Now you hold money in a side account, right? Have you heard of the term, the profit first model with bank accounts?
Yeah. I just got the book. I need to read it.
Give it a read. I'll tell you this much. I started with the profit first model. And then once you actually hire a competent CPA, you'll find your way kind of like navigating out of using it. But for the sole purpose, the profit first model, meaning it's owner's compensation, profit, taxes, expenses, and income. Okay. So all your money comes into the income account, and then you disperse it percentage wise into the other 4 accounts. Taxes, you obviously are going to want to put something away there. However, am I one that says that I'll put money away in a tax account and I will never touch it? No. If it's not close to tax season, you should be. I'm not telling you to gamble. Please forgive me on this. But could you reinvest that money into the next deal if you're still 10 months away from tax season? Yes, you could. But then with that profit is going to go into the next deal. The owner's compensation is you getting paid, but the profit is then what you're going to use to actually fund the next deal, where the next deal, you don't have to find a private money partner to help you with the down payment for the hard money. You now have that capital. Now, the whole thing that I teach about direct to seller, I've never, ever, even once, and I mean this, no lie, I've never even once brought money to the table on a deal that I've had to have hard money come in with. And why is that?
Nice.
Why do you think that is?
You have availability of private money lenders and partners.
Nope, not at all. I bring the deal where the numbers are low enough to where my skin in the game is the equity that I brought into the deal.
Gotcha.
So the hard money lender goes, well, it looks to me like you actually got this contract at 70% of value and they want you to be at 80% or less. So you're already bringing skin to the game because you already found the deal. So I've talked to you about this before. I've talked to everyone about this before. Like, the reason that I really, really kind of push direct to seller is you're able to get those deals low enough. Every time you lock up a deal, you will be able to get it low enough to where you can either choose, do I assign this deal? Like, do I sell it to an end buyer and make a quick $10, $20, $30, $50,000 pop, which is really beautiful? Or because that $10, $20, $30, $50,000 pop is technically your equity in the deal, do you keep the deal and then flip it? And then you can get a hard money lender to come in first position and renovation expenses because they know they're in a safe position, because if they have to foreclose on you, you've already got the property at such a great discounted rate that they can list it as it is and make money. Does that all make sense, dude?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, actually. And I actually forgot about that ratio.
Yeah. So I've never even once ever had to bring my own capital or private money into a hard money deal when I'm doing a renovation. And that's the way you got to think about this. And so again, if you have the deal that has the equity, a hard money lender will lend on it. If you have a deal that doesn't have enough equity, that let's say you're buying it from a wholesaler and the wholesaler is technically stripping the equity out of the deal for their assignment fee, then you have to find a private money partner that is going to come in with you and say, I'm okay being in third position, or they're okay coming in with a really great interest rate. Right? Most of the time, I'd rather have them come in with an interest rate if I could, but it's going to be more common you're going to have them come in as a partner. So they're going to be okay with receiving a modest interest rate, but then they're going to get a payout on the back end, the upside of when you sell the property. They're going to get a portion of the equity proceeds that they're going to make more money because they're taking a risk by not being in second, but being in third position.
So what is your recommendation on percentage of equity to that partner? I mean, the lower the better, obviously, but what's a realistic?
You want to make it
there?
Where there's no hard rule on this, but let's say that they're okay coming in at 30% interest only. They're 30% interest only on their money. So let's say they come in with $10,000 and they want 30%. That means that you're paying them $3,000, right?
Yep.
Now, technically speaking, if we really want to dissect that a little further, you have to be specific. Are they receiving 30% APR, annual percentage rate? Where if, let's say, you get the job done in 6 months, then they're only making $1,500. But a lot of short-term lenders right now are really focused on it being a flat fee, like a flat interest rate, and not an APR. Okay, you follow me so far?
Yep.
Something to be very careful of is that if somebody is wanting a flat fee, or this is just a thing for you to know, if you are ever lending money out as a flat interest rate, so whether it's 30 days or whether it's 1 year, you're going to get paid out no matter what. That could open you up to usury laws where you're almost loan sharking. So be careful about that. Okay. Certain states, California, Nevada, they're very protective of that. So, like, for example, let's say I was going to pay you 30% in 1 month. That's, what is that? 360% interest,
A lot.
right? So if you were to pay that like in an annual, that's a lot of money. So anyway, to your question about what do you pay out a private money partner, it's really a matter of, listen, guy, I can either give you 30% interest, or I'll give you 15% interest, and then I'll give you 15% equity. Or something to that, or sorry, like, my bad, 10% interest and 15% equity. So you're paying a little bit less, and they're getting more of the upside of that, of when the property sells. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha. I got a guy. Well, the reason I brought that specific question is that I've got a guy who has some money, but he wanted 10% interest only on the money, and then he wanted 50% on the sale of the proceed. Like, so that would seem like, wow, you're getting 2 bites of the apple there, you know? So I definitely don't want to do that unless it's so good that I can't pass it up.
And that's the thing though. If the deal is good enough, you do it. One of my deals, I gave away like $180,000 because without his capital, I wouldn't have got the deal.
Gotcha.
And all he did, the most that he did, was help me change around a couple of light bulbs in the house. That was it. I asked him to help me out on one of the days. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go there. I'm going to clean it out. Would you mind helping me? He's like, yeah, sure, man. I'll be there. Shows up. He's there for about 15 minutes and he says, oh, you know what? My wife needs me to go home. You got the rest of this? I go, wow, bro, you're making like $180,000 on this deal. But because of his money, it was a foreclosure that I had to stop, and I had less than a day to do so. And it was $118,000 in arrears, and we weren't even able to take title. So I tell you that story because without his money, that deal would never have happened. But because of that happening, I made over $100,000 on the deal.
Gotcha.
So does that all make sense, dude?
Yeah, no, that's great info. I appreciate it.
So moral of the story, I can hear in your voice, you're like, the market is weird. The market is scary. I don't have money for a deal. The numbers aren't working. The truth of the matter is, bro, if you find a deal from a wholesaler, you can still find someone to lend you money on it. Don't focus on the lending money right now, because I'll tell you what happens. You get a stable of lenders that are ready for a deal, and then when you don't have a deal and you go back to them, what do you think they just did? They already lent their money out.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, I'm tapped. I don't have the money for your next deal. So guess what you're doing? You're now repeating the same problem that you had before. Now you have to go find lenders. So why double your efforts when focus on finding the deal first, and then the buyers or the lenders will come? Make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I'll forget that then altogether.
Yeah.
Because I was seriously looking at that, and it was stressing me out just as a habit, you know. So I'll just forget it.
Just find your deals, find the leads, call the wholesalers, try to get the deal, and try to negotiate the wholesaler down. Remember, if they're asking for a price, you can negotiate them down.
Yeah, like typically here what I'm running into is literally 75, 85% in that range. I'm like, you're killing me.
Right.
You know, they're just straight up. It's like if I wanted to buy it to move into, great, with a little bit of sweat equity, awesome. Other than that, I mean, it's, you know, we're trying to make money, not spend it. So
yeah. Well, dude, like I said, you can always reach out to me if you need help on a specific deal. Let me know, okay?
Will do. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Herbert, you have a question about calling a property owner. Can it be on market? What do you mean by that, Herb? Unmute yourself, please. And by the way, Cortland, how you doing, buddy?
So I was I have some properties, you know, that I've been looking at, but they're on market. I figure, you know, we could call some buyers today, and then
some buyers.
I say sellers.
Okay.
Might be tied to some realtors. But
okay. So let me run it down for you right now. So number one, if the property is on market and you are not an agent yourself, you are allowed to call the seller. If you wanted to, you can go behind the agent's back and do that. I don't necessarily recommend that though. If the property is listed, that usually means that the seller wants the agent to handle the deal. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So unless the agent is being an asshole and they're not, connecting your offer to the seller or something like that, I typically will never intentionally go behind an agent's back. I will always approach the agent first because the agent's going to be the dictator. They're going to be the gatekeeper. They're going to tell us whether the deal is going to work, remember that call I made, with that asshole, Brad, right?
Mm.
Like that guy's a dick. And in that certain situation, I would have no problem going behind his back and going directly to the seller and telling him that his agent is not representing him correctly. Okay.
Mhm.
So, but to your question, I would not say that just calling sellers right now is going to be the right, way we should approach these calls. Like if you're going to be coming live on like one of our Zooms, I want you to, if you have an agent or you have a seller that is open to the conversation, right? Or open to the topic of seller finance or subject to, or if like we did for Brad, where the property had been listed for over 6 months and I just gave him a call just to give him an offer, I'm fine with that. But just calling a bunch of agents for the sake of calling agents is probably not the right way to go. But for you, Herb, with Brad specifically, you actually brought me the topic of, hey, I gave this guy a call and he was an asshole to me. The property's been on the market for over 6 months. What do I do next? And I was like, you know what? Let me give him a call. Those I'm fine with. But just like cold calling a bunch of agents, probably not the best use of this meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So, but you can bring me, like I said, if you talk to an agent or you talk to a seller and you want my help in talking to them, bring it to this call. Absolutely. And that goes for anybody that's here. Like we go live, we call sellers, we call agents, we lock up deals, whatever you need, you let me know. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Cortland, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. What are you up to right now?
I am at a house that we're putting keys on right now. Just new locks and stuff.
Nice. Was this, did
Yeah.
you flip this or is it, what's the,
It's a co-living. I know it's a potty word for you, but it's a co-living.
what city?
Ogden.
Ogden. How many rooms did you add? Or sorry, how many closets did you add?
These are good sized rooms. We added 2 rooms, so it's 8.
Okay.
It's by Weber. It's pretty close to Weber, so it's probably like student housing, a mix of that. So
Okay. I'm better at the idea of student housing. That's okay with me. But
Yeah.
it's the co-living in the metro areas that I get really bothered by.
I have a hard time doing like the guys who are doing like weekly like I can't imagine doing weekly. And yeah, you're right. Some of the pad splits, they do the tiniest rooms.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's like the rooms still have to be a livable room. I don't know. So I don't know. It's kind of an experiment for us. I have a townhome we rent by the room in Bountiful, and it's been like awesome. So I was like, all right, let's try this. But the cool part is this is a 2.5% interest rate.
That's
So
right.
even if it flops, we just go another way.
The rooms that you added, do they have windows?
Yeah, they all have windows and closets.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. And
So,
what other
good
than the
rooms.
2.5% interest rate, what were the terms?
30K down. It was 30K down, 2.5% rate. We pay the seller like $50 a month with no interest on some equity. He has like 20K of equity.
Okay.
And then there's a balloon in 7 years.
That's not bad. Anything above 5 is
Yeah, no,
not
it's-
bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. We would have liked to go longer, but that was like his one VA loan.
So let me
yeah.
ask you this. I when I hear the $50 equity only payment, but with a balloon payment, why the 50? You couldn't have just said no?
Yeah, probably. I think he just wanted something. He's like, I just want something. So it's
Something.
just principal only payments to him.
Sure.
So I was like, all right, whatever,
I
But
feel like
yeah,
that's so
I think in
weird.
that case, if I remember right, I think it was just like, I just want something. It's like, okay.
Okay. All right. If I just want
Yeah.
something, then that's fine. But I was like, $50?
Yeah.
Like, does that really move the needle for you, buddy?
Yeah, no, I agree. I would have just been like, just wait for it for sure. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. And I would have even said, here's my pushback. For the amount of effort it's going to take to pay him, how are you guys paying him? Is it going to be through escrow specialists? Like, how does he get his 50?
Through escrow specialist, yeah.
Okay.
So we're paying a fee to pay him, basically, is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
exactly. I
Yeah.
would have just upped my payment to him and said, hey, how about I just add 1,000? That's way more than $50
Yeah.
a month. Yeah, you get
No,
it.
that's true, because it's not like he's getting anything better. No, that's probably a good call. That's a good call for the next one.
Yeah, but anyway, good job, man. What's
It
the
was one. It was one where we sent him like a few offers, right? And he was just like, "I want this one." Okay.
cool? Was it on
So
market or off market?
on market, yeah, it was on market.
Cool, good. And what was the what's the purchase price?
So we bought it at 415, 415,
What do you think current market value is?
420, maybe 420, and I think it's probably around 450. I think we bought a little equity. I mean, it's hard to know right now, right?
Sure.
I mean, with 2 or 3%, but and no, we would have bought it right around 4. It was right around 4 actually, because the underlying mortgage is 340. So
Oh, great.
yeah, we're not too 410 somewhere in there.
Okay, good. Other
Yeah.
than that, dude, what have you guys been up to? Anything I can help with? Anything?
We're just shifting gears. We're trying to do more direct to seller. That's what we're doing. So we just started calling. It's so funny because like I've called thousands of agents at this point. Like it doesn't scare me at all. Like just send me the link. Let's call. And then I was calling sellers this week, and it was like, oh, Fetch, this is terrifying. No, it's just different. It's so different. Such a different conversation, right? So.
Well, it is. And like you've heard me say it a million times, like the reason that on market is so much easier for a new investor is it's an easier conversation. It's like, it's a flip flop. Out of every agent you talk to, out of every 10 agents, one might be a bad conversation, but 9 are going to be relatively cordial versus it's the opposite where if you're calling sellers, 9 out of 10 of them are going to be dicks, or it's going to be it's way more psychological, right? Like,
And it's such a different conversation. Yeah. So different.
Yeah. You actually have to have sales skills versus with an agent. It's just like, here's our offer. Does it work for your client? If it doesn't work for your client, do you want to hop on a call? We can all hop on a call together. We can talk this out. Then it's a little bit of sales skills and negotiation. But when you're talking to a direct to seller where they are with their head in the sand, like an ostrich, they don't believe what they're going through. Like I'm, if you're listening to this right now, Aaron, I apologize, but I'm going to use you as an example. So, one of the people that send me a message, he's got a property he's looking to sell in Sandy, and he's trying to get it for $500,000. And so he tried to get it with a wholesaler. The wholesaler blasted it out, and the wholesaler said, "I've only come in with 460 to 470, right? With offers." That's what he said. We don't know if that's true or not, but so Aaron says to me, "Hey, Jeremy, would you be able to walk the property? We just canceled the contract with the wholesaler. Would you be able to go in there and tell me your thoughts?" I have still yet to call Aaron. So Aaron, if you're listening to this right now, here's what's going on. So we walk in the property, and the property needs a lot of work. The property needs, there was a fire in the living room that I think the grandparents just covered it up with paint. And I think they actually even removed the joist to the ceiling just to not even fix it correctly. And so now I have to go to Aaron and I have to explain to him the problems that we're going to face. And for him, emotionally, he wants $500,000. He inherited this property because he wants to pay his aunt and another family member, and then he wants to keep the profit, right? So when a homeowner or a seller has made up their decision in their mind of what number is going to work for them and they don't want anything less, it is such a bitch of a conversation to try to convince them that this is the reality, right? And that is the hardest part about working with direct to seller, is that Aaron might not have enough pain at this moment because the property's owned free and clear. The property's owned free and clear. So they could just sit on this property and all they have to pay is like $10 a month for electric and water. And that's all they have to care about. That's not a lot of pain. And they can wait it out until somebody actually gives them an offer. But if, let's say this property had a mortgage and they have to make a mortgage payment, and I explain to them, listen, you're not going to get $500,000 for the property. ARV, by the way, is between 550 and 650. And it needs about 120,000 of work.
Yeah.
Okay. And why the ARV is such a straddle between 550 and 650 is it's on the border of Sandy and White City. and White City ARV is 550 and Sandy ARV is 650. So it's kind of like we're taking a chance here. And so anyway, I have to have that conversation today and explain to him, like, listen, I want to make you an offer. I absolutely want to flip this property. But now that we're looking at the fire damage and we're looking at all the work that needs to be done, all the landscaping, the sprinklers, it has a swamp cooler still. So we've got to add all the HVAC and all the major appliances. This is going to be a $120,000 job with a potential ARV of 600. Let's do the math right now. That brings my offer is like 380. You're muted, by the way. So anyway, I just say that for an example of, for you, Cortland, and your team, that's going to be your biggest struggle is have you actually, let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever talked to a seller yet, or an agent representing a seller, that they will just say yes to whatever you offer?
No,
Get ready for that.
I don't think so.
Get ready.
I mean,
for that.
I've had some people like desperately just be like, please just take like, yeah, you can just have it. Like, but the thing is, when there's an agent involved, which is almost all that I've done, they always they're going to get their fee no matter what. So I've had a few where I'm like, listen, I actually have one right now. We're working on West Haven. It's like, I can't pay you. So in order for us to put it under contract, I need you to talk to your seller, and if he can come out of pocket to pay you.
Right.
That's just the situation they're in. And I'm like, and honestly, as an agent, this still sucks. Like, you're screwed. Like, if he can't pay you, I don't know how you're ever going to sell this house.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you see the deal that I'm getting ripped off 50,000 on?
I started watching it. It got interrupted. I need to go back and finish it.
Okay. So that deal by itself is a complete cluster. It is just everything going wrong. I lent my money to somebody who I thought was a player that knew what they were doing. I don't know really where the truth is. The last time, if you remember, I said that he got arrested in Peru. Well,
Yeah.
Then he called me after he got back from Peru and was like, Jeremy, I'm going to send you all your money back. But then that was the last I ever talked to him. Right. And so, but with that deal specifically, not only am I dealing with the seller and the daughter that are both, like, again, everybody in the picture here, except for the daughter is actually, she's sane. Her brain works correctly. But
Yeah.
everyone else in this picture is just they're on mushrooms. I don't know what they're doing. But the mom, this property has zero equity, absolute no equity. And the property has been gutted now. And the mom, last time I spoke to her, said, I'll give you the deed, Jeremy, for $25,000. And I go, you are so underwater that there's no money at all. And I'm lucky if I could even flip the property and sell it. But with that situation right there, guess what mom does? Mom, after talking to me, decides to find an agent. And she's now under a listing agreement with the agent. And the agent calls me up and says, and it's funny, the agent knows me. I don't know if they know me personally or just through social media or my meetups.
Yeah.
But the agent sends me a text and is like, hey, Jeremy, it's really awesome to meet you. I'm actually the listing agent for this property. And we're about to initiate a short sale. And I'd like to be able to talk to you about everything. So I get on a call with him. I go, hey, guess what? You're not doing a short sale. Because I'm not going to sign off on it. I'm not going to approve it. If I'm in second position behind the bank's note and I don't get my $50,000 back, sorry to say this, I'm going to be stubborn and I'm just going to lose it all.
Well, it screws you over. I mean, you're probably going to lose it either way.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm
I mean,
going to
at
lose
that
it either
point.
way. And the fact that, if you remember in the video, if you watched the one part of it, I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg. The seller said that the guy that I lent the money to gutted the property and then disappeared. But then when I spoke to the guy who gutted the property, he said, we gutted the property and then the seller changed the locks on the door. So then I go back to the seller and I go to the woman, I say, what's going on with this? She goes, oh, I talked to the bank and they approved me for a loan modification and they recommended I just change the locks on the door. So I don't know why. Number one, why did she change the locks without talking to anybody? Okay. Number two, if he knew that the locks got changed, why didn't he make an effort in reaching out to her at least once to get all of the contractor's tools out of the house? They
Yeah,
never
that's
did it.
crazy.
They're currently in the house right now. All these tools are in the house, and it's been months. And then I'm also like, if I was the contractors with my tools locked in the house, wouldn't I be bashing down this guy's door to get my stuff, or breaking in through a window to get my stuff? So
Yeah.
there's just so much weird stuff with this deal. But anyway, the agent calls me up and is like, yeah, I would like to get your permission to short sale this. And I go, no. And I go, but I'll tell you what, why don't you just tell your seller, your client, just to deed the property over to me free and clear? Like, just, I'm not paying a single dollar. And I hope you know I'm not paying you anything either. And he goes, yeah, I know that. I expected that. Now that I ran the numbers, I see what's going on. He's like, my only hope to making a commission is if we were to put it to a short sale and convince the bank to drop their price. But if you're not willing to drop your price, I'm like, of course I'm not willing to drop my price. Do you know how a short sale
Yeah.
works? I'd have to just completely eliminate my 50 grand in second position.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's fun, man. But now that to the point of this conversation, now that you guys are going to be focused on direct to seller, I will tell you what's going to happen. You're going to have a lot of conversations with little motivation, just a little bit. Okay. Those are going to be your base hits. Then you're going to find people that your psychology and your sales skills are really going to make the difference. It's how you are going to, and if you offline, if you and I want to connect and we can role play the conversation, it actually really comes down to the script that you use. And
Yeah.
I mean that, like, I can go off script really easily, but what I mean is the way you structure the conversation. Okay?
Yeah.
And then there's finally the last person that is in absolute pain, that they need this problem fixed like cancer on their eyeball and they want it removed. Those are the people that you can say, what's your asking price? No, I can't do that. Can you come lower? I'll tell you where I need to be. If you could say yes to this right now, I'll sign the papers. And they go, yes. Those are going to be your $100,000 plus deals.
Yeah.
So
Sweet. No, I'm excited. Yeah, we're pumped. I just feel like, I mean, to us, we just feel like it's the, we've been hitting low hanging fruit, and we're going to continue doing it. But it'd be nice to have some home runs. We our biggest assignment we've done to date was a cash deal on market, and it was the easiest deal we did. Also, it was just like so easy. It's
That's
like we
great.
should do more of those.
Hey, Ava,
So-
if you're watching this right now, can you give Steve Horn the link to this Zoom? I don't know why he's seeing it on YouTube right now, but he's not able to see it in the Discord. So I want to make sure that we did something correctly. So if you can reach out to Steve Horn directly, or Steve on Discord, if you could message Ava. Yeah, I want to get you in here. I don't know why you're not here. Anyway, Cortland, let's connect offline, dude. I know we talked about 2 weeks ago about getting lunch, but let's actually meet and get lunch.
Yeah, sounds good, man.
Cool.
Appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Yeah. Obviously I want to give Steve a chance to come in here, but anything else on the top of your minds, guys? Yeah. Link is in the announcements. I just don't know why, Steve's not able to see it. Let's see here. Anyway, anything else we're working on, guys? And by the way, if you guys are watching this on YouTube right now, this Zoom is actually taking place in our private community, the Investor Semester. If you guys want to join right now, we're giving you a special offer, $1 to join. Come on in, ask your questions. If you guys want to stay in the community after this, you can do so. But I think it'd be a no-brainer for you guys to come in. So, Abba, if you want to post the link in the YouTube. Anyway. Interesting. That guy Aaron I was just talking about sent me a DM, but it's not about this conversation, so I don't know if he's watching this or not. There you go, Steve.
What's up, dude?
Did Ava message you directly?
Yeah, she just I was trying to message her too, and so she sent it over to me.
Cool.
Apparently there's something about my WAP got kind of screwy, I guess.
Okay, we'll fix it after this.
I'll fix it.
Okay. Awesome. Well, what's up, dude? What do you got going on?
Not much, bro. I'm just working my tail off on this remodel and hanging out here, having lunch with my little guy.
What's up, little guy?
Say hi.
What's up, dude? What's your name?
Maverick Horn.
Maverick?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Maverick. I'm Jeremy. Your dad and I go way back, like prehistoric. Like that shirt.
Do you build houses all the time?
I kind of do. Like that shirt you're wearing, do you see that dinosaur? Your dad and I were friends when dinosaurs were around.
All right, go on, sit down, bud.
Dinosaurs aren't around anymore.
Well, that's because your dad and I ate them all. We barbecued them.
What do you think, dude?
Florida, I
All right, go sit down.
Anyway,
Oh,
mean. Did you?
yeah.
so you've got this rehab you're focused on. Have you called any sellers? Have you talked to any agents? What have you been doing?
All right, so I talked to that seller a little while back. I mentioned to you, he's like an hour away.
Yeah.
Dude's pretty stuck on a price, and I was talking to some local flippers, and they were like, honestly, with what I know I expect to pay like rehab on that house, I can't come in at that price.
Sure.
I'm like, okay, cool, I get it. So I just kind of let it be because, you know, dude was wanting 150. ARV is like top end 280.
Sure.
And, you know, this guy was saying realistically, like he could see 70 grand in rehab. But I was looking at it more from my perspective where I know what I could do.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I guess I get that. Like, I got to look at it from hiring somebody, not DIY.
It's unfortunate that, like, you know, for the property that I went to earlier this week, I brought in a really good friend of mine who has their entire GC and their project manager is on payroll. So there's no equity payout, right? There's no fee. So it's a lot cheaper for them. So for me, I'm like, this is $130,000 rehab. And he's like, for me, it's like 110 because he's saving that money. And so for you, you have to remember that you are a licensed GC and then you've got a team of contractors where you could do the deal and save money by doing it. But then other people out there that need to spend more money on someone like you, that they would hire somebody like you, it obviously costs more. So the guy's stuck on his price. Yeah. I believe that if we gave this guy a call together, we'd probably uncover a little bit more motivation and try to really find out what's got him looking to sell. Is he living in the property right now?
No.
Okay.
So it's his dad's property. He's like got the power of attorney signed over to him on it.
Okay.
And property's free and clear. I mean, it's in pretty rough shape. Dad was a hoarder, so I mean, there's like they've cleared out most of it. Last I talked to him. But I mean, it was legitimately like, you know, wide enough to walk through trails through the whole house.
Sure.
So yeah, anyway, buddy, stop. So he quit. But yeah, the guy's point, like reason for his sticking at 150. Hold on. Hey, you got to quit. All right. Is that his dad's got expenses. And so he needs to be as close to 150 as he can to cover it.
Sure.
So he said he got an offer from like a local flipper, like, or wholesaling company at 125, but he was like, that just feels too low. He's like, at that point, I think I'll just hang on to it and fix it up myself.
Sure.
Which is like, I get it.
This is a conversation that I can have very easily. I've had this conversation 1,000 times. This is just, they have unrealistic expectations. And they're looking for a number. And whenever I hear a seller say that they're looking for a round number, 150, 200, 250, 300, that means that they are just emotionally tied to that number. But if you can break through the emotion and have the pain of not selling overcome the joy of them making 150, they'll sell for a cheaper price.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, it's like what I do as a contractor. If my bid comes in at $1,500, if I make it $1,503.21, then it looks like I dialed it down to the last penny.
Right. Exactly. So when he says, "Oh, my dad has payments," right? My dad has expenses.
Yeah.
Okay, work the expenses out with me. What do you got?
Right.
That makes. And I've done that many times. Like, okay, so what are the total bills right now on the credit card? 135, and you want 150, so you're looking for 15,000. Is that correct? Right.
Okay.
Right, and then I can say,
I get what you're saying there. That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of having that logical conversation. But yeah, dude, let's try this. It's Thursday. Why don't you reach out to the guy and say, "Hey, I've got a partner that wants to potentially go in on this deal with me. Would you be available for a phone call?"
Okay, cool.
That's it. That's
Like,
the
you mean
extent.
today or?
We
right,
could
cool.
do it. We could either do it later today or we could do it tomorrow. Just find out what works for that guy. And like, hey, he's in no rush to buy your property, but I've got someone who wants to partner up with me, and I'd love to have him have a conversation with you and see if we can make this work.
That makes sense. Okay, yeah, I'll shoot him a text.
Okay, cool. So other than that, guys, anything else you guys are working on? Nothing?
I
So
should
I
just
actually
raising capital.
Sorry, okay. Wait, sorry, Steve. You had something, and then Jason, you said about raising capital.
Yeah, I said about raising capital. You mentioned about blasting it out on social media and so on. So how do you vet equity partners when somebody raise their hand and want to start? Yeah, I'm interested.
Find out what they have. I mean, what are like? How do you vet them? Okay.
Like,
I
are
don't
they good or are they, just pulling your arm and so on?
First and foremost, you have to ask how much liquid capital do they have, right? It's the question of how much money do you have actually available in your bank account that can be pulled out right now? How much of it is tied up in stocks or bonds or other things that sometimes, like, oh, I've got equity in my home that I might do a HELOC on. Well, they still need to go through the HELOC process, which takes a long time. So you first want to ask them about like, hey, would you mind giving me like, how much money do you have available for a lending? Like, what would make you feel comfortable and what's the maximum you can come out of pocket with? Right? And what's your timeline? How long are you looking to lend the money out for? Most lenders that are coming in for $100,000 or less are going to want their property back in 6 months or less. Not property, their money back in 6 months or less. Because when they have $100,000 or less, that's typically all their money, and they're not thinking about the long term, like, let me keep it in a long deal for 3 years to 5 years and make a lot more. They're using that 100,000 as a way to make more money quickly so they can do bigger deals. If you find someone who has $1 million plus, they're more than likely going to stay in the deal for over a year plus because they don't need that money back right away. Okay. So questions like, how much liquid capital do you have available right now? If we were to say this deal is ready to go tomorrow, how much do you have available? Question number one. Okay, great. Question number two, if you can take five days to 2 weeks, how much more capital do you have available then? Okay, great. Question number three, what is the average timeline you are looking to lend out for until you make your money back? Great. Do you have any hard caps on what your interest rate is, in what we pay out, or what position you want to be in? If you're going to be in first position, obviously we're going to be borrowing your money at between 8 to 12%. Don't tell them 12%. Obviously, you don't tell them anything lower. Like, just say, if you're in first position, the interest rate is going to be lower because you're going to be in a very safe position. And we're also coming in a deal that has equity already built into the deal to where even if you have to foreclose on me, you can sell it as is and still make your money back plus profit. However, if I need second position, it's going to be a slightly higher interest rate because you're taking a slightly higher risk. But obviously, we'll underwrite the deal together. And obviously, we'll make sure that you are feeling safe in the position that you're in. But what I need to know is how much capital do you have available now? How much capital will you have available if you are needing to pull it out of a stock or a bond or something like that? And what that timeline is. And then also, what position are you okay being in? And what interest rates are you looking for depending on that position?
Got it.
That's it.
Perfect. And with the follow-up, so if I get a RV park and do a DSR loan, but need gap funding for the 20%, about 300,000. So how does the long loan pay off? Because you said 6 months to a year. Maybe I need to hold it for a couple of years. So I will need to structure it in terms with a equity partner, or?
So if you're looking at finding private money to come in with a down payment, that means that that person's going to, no matter what, he's going to be in minimum second position, if not third position, right?
Right.
Because if you're buying a mobile home park, would you say there's a good chance that that seller might actually offer you some form of seller financing?
Right.
Chances are they would. So what that means is that probably If it's a subject to finance, that means that there's the bank, and that means that there's the seller finance, and that means that you'd be coming in with a private money in third position. Now, if it was a DSCR loan, DSCRs don't want to be in second position, so they're going to want to pay off the first no matter what. So that means that your lender is going to be in second position. So no matter what, you're never going to find a lender that's going to be in first position based off the deals you're buying, correct? Yes, that is correct. So when you're talking about working with a DSCR is a long-term loan, right? You're not looking to refinance out a DSCR at all. My internet connection is unstable. Am I breaking up for you guys? Or are you guys good?
I'm good.
Okay. Good. Okay. So you don't want to refinance out of a DSCR, because if that DSCR is approved and the ratio makes sense for them, you want to stick with that loan for as long as possible. So you need to approach the conversation with your lender, with your private lender, on exactly that conversation. Hey, we are looking to get a DSCR loan. We are looking to stabilize this property. But this is the thing, Jason, is that if you're getting a DSCR loan, you're not getting a DSCR loan before you add the value, right?
Right.
You're going to be fixing up the property. So that means that means that you're finding a lender that is going to be coming in most of the time for the renovation expenses.
Correct.
Okay. So if that's the case, most of the time, they're going to be in third position, because unless the property is owned free and clear, that seller is probably going to have a mortgage already they're paying. So that's going to be first position. Second position is their seller finance equity to you. And then third position would be the renovation expenses. So in that case, you just need to say to the lender, the private money lender you're working with, that you're going to be in third position, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to either be an equity partner with me, or you're going to be at a higher interest rate. But what our goal is we're going to be fixing up the property. We're going to be adding different RV pads and adding all the plumbing and electric and all that stuff. And then we're going to go in with a DSCR and we're going to refinance. And when we refinance, we're going to get you your money back. We're going to pay off the original note. We're going to pay the seller their seller finance note. And then everybody walks away happy. So you have your choice that you can either be at a higher interest rate, or you can be at a lower interest rate, and I'll bring you in as an equity partner, but on a lower percentage rate. Like, you're not giving them 50% equity. You're giving them like 5% equity. And then they could be a 5% owner of that property moving forward for the next 5 to 10 years.
Got it. That's perfect.
Yes, it is perfect, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Just kidding. So does that make sense, dude?
Oh, yeah, it makes sense. So best route is to do equity partner, not a debt partner?
The best route is to find out what people are open to.
All right. So I'll just gauge the conversation and let them know.
Yeah, it's really a matter of, if someone's going to be in third position, they're probably either going to want an astronomical interest rate, or they're going to want equity. So you have to be prepared for that. You have to know that that's going to be a conversation you might be having.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Steve, you had another question, dude.
I was just going to say, like, I been super busy with work, keeping stuff going. I've been doing kind of a separate little marketing thing for the construction business with trying to work directly with like real estate agents for pre-listing touch-ups and stuff. So that's been keeping me pretty swamped. But I'm trying to grab up a bunch of like, I pulled all the list off my county website for foreclosures.
Okay.
Try to go after that, because the last call you were talking a lot about foreclosures, and I didn't realize how much stronger it made the position when the auction is imminent.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it was like, because I was kind of in the same boat that the other person was, looking at it being like, oh, the auction's coming soon, like it's probably a no dice, you know. And hearing you guys explain it, it was like, oh, that actually makes sense, you know, because the pain is that much more. I mean, that screw is being tightened immensely at that point. You know, they're on the verge of, you know, getting thrown out by the sheriff's department.
You know, it's funny. It's like you've got children. I've got one child, and I've got another one on the way. Yep. If it wasn't for your wife, would you have built their rooms and put the cribs together and decorated ahead of time? or would you have left it to the very last minute until her water broke?
Yeah, bro, it would have been like last minute for sure.
Right.
Like they'd have been sleeping in a porta crib while I waited to get the real one together eventually.
Exactly. And so right now my wife, she's on this call. Hi, Katie. Love you. She is nesting currently. We're about a month and a half out. Okay.
Nice.
And so she's putting the crib together and she's decorating the room and making sure that all the clothes, they're already hung up on hangers, right? Everything.
Yeah.
She is the type of seller that logically knows that they need to sell their property at the beginning of the notice of default because they know that there's this is going to be imminent. They know it's coming because they're being reminded every time they get kicked in their uterus that there is something coming along the way. So they are literally getting kicked in the ass to say, get in gear, woman. Right?
Yeah.
So they're being constantly reminded. But when most sellers that are going through notice of default, they are not being reminded is if they can just turn off their phone notifications and stop accepting calls, they can live in happiness, ignoring the fact that they're about to lose their house in 115 days. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but for you and I being the men in the relationship, we are not being reminded of that until there comes a moment that her water breaks or she says, hey, Jeremy, I think the baby's coming. And then we go, oh shit. And that's the moment that somebody realizes that their house is going to sale in a few days.
Yeah.
And this is their only chance. If they don't fix their problem today on this call with you right now, they are going to be evicted and they're going to have the constable, they're going to have the sheriff at their door, knocking on their door saying, you are now evicted. You're going to have to follow me outside of the house. And they may get lucky to have time to get their belongings.
Yeah.
Okay. How do I know that? Because I had the same thing happen to me when I was a child, right?
Okay.
Like my parents got foreclosed on. And I remember that somebody with the constable came into our house and helped me pack up my toys. Right. So most homeowners that are going through foreclosure will wait till the very last minute if they're like you or me, if they're the man of the house. But if they're reminded or that they're, if the rapport is built and the friendship is there, that's when they're going to come back to you and say, all right, Steve, what can you do to help me stay in the property? Well, I can't keep you in the property for very long, but I can at least keep you in there for 30 to 60 days. I can buy you time to be able to pack up. And I could even put some money in your pocket to help with moving expenses and help you find a place to rent so your family isn't being kicked out on the street.
Yeah.
People don't see that. They think that wholesalers are just offering lowball offers and stealing equity, but we're actually helping families figure out their lives a little bit easier. Right.
Well, and he's comment right there, and you're keeping the foreclosure off their record. So their chances of buying a home again once they get things figured out are that much better.
Exactly.
And they get into a rental. I mean, how many rental companies want somebody with a foreclosure coming in? You know, I mean, it makes it hard.
Yep. It makes it way hard. And even if I take the property over as a subject to where I now start making those payments to their mortgage and I reinstate it, that's actually the best of all worlds because now I'm creating a performing mortgage that improves their credit faster than anything else can improve it.
Yeah.
Right. And so anyway, to my point, as you start to market to more pre-foreclosures, you have to keep that in your mind. And you also have to know that there's going to be a lot of depression to the person you're speaking to.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to think that. You know, nobody likes to have that be an actual reality that they're about to get kicked out of their house and their family and their children are going to be homeless. Nobody wants to have that conversation. Like, I don't go, you know what sounds like great times today? Let's talk about me losing my house.
Yeah.
But if you come at them as a friend and you say, let's talk about this, let's have this conversation and let's get it out of the way so that we can fix the problem. And I'm going to be here the entire time, side by side with you, figuring out the problem.
Makes sense.
That's it.
It sounds like there's probably a lot of follow-up with the foreclosures too. Like you're not necessarily going to get them right off the bat. Like you're going to have to keep following up until the pressure's on for many of them.
Yeah, I will say yes to, I'd say 60% yes. It's not a vast majority. 60% is going to take a lot of follow-up, but there are times where I will reach out to them in the beginning of the notice of default and then they don't respond to me after a few weeks, and then I'll reach back out to them a few days before their auction, and they go, "Oh my God, can you help me?"
Right.
Right. And then right then and there, I'm just giving them an offer and they're accepting it.
So when it comes to, I know, like, okay, so I call, tired landlords or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you're looking at it and say, rough numbers, you're talking 70% ARV minus rehab.
Sure.
So on a foreclosure, do you typically follow the same thing? Because my mind was kind of looking at it and it's like, okay, say somebody's ARV is, 400K and they've got, they only owe 150 on the property, right?
Yep.
So do you kind of play around more towards the 150 side of things? Like, assuming the house is in decent shape, maybe it's, basically like some, lipstick remodel type thing. And are you looking at it more from the side of still trying to come in at that 70% minus rehab? Or are you like, hey, you owe 150, I can give you 175. It puts some cash in your pocket, takes care of the mortgage, and free and clear.
Great question. Easiest answer I can give. The easier they make it on me, the more I'm going to offer them. And what I mean by that is, okay, in the beginning of the notice of default, so we have 90 plus 45 days.
Okay.
Right? So we've got 135 days until the auction actually happens. I will then go through the offer and I will make them a higher offer. Why is that? Because I have more time to get them under contract. I have more time to, if I'm going to be assigning the deal, I have more time to find buyers. I have more time to walk them through the property for better inspections. And I have a better chance to find more buyers that will spend more money because we're not pushed with our back against a wall.
Right.
However, if it is 3 days before the auction, I will offer them for them to walk away with netting zero.
Just they're at least not getting a foreclosure.
They're not getting a foreclosure, and I could even keep them in the property for, honestly, 30, 60, 90, even a year.
Yeah.
Depending on how much equity they have in the deal.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say the property's worth 400,000 and they've got 250,000 of equity.
Right.
I say to them, what's worth to you? Do you guys want to stay in the property for another year?
Okay.
Because if that's the case, I could find hard money that will come in at 150 and they'll be happy to keep 150 in the deal at 12% interest rate after 1 year because they know that, God forbid, what's the worst that could happen? I die and then they take the title at 60% of value. Or no, sorry, that would be at 40% of value.
Right.
Right. So there's no problem there. So you can actually keep the person in there for as long as they need. So it's really a matter of, what do you need from me right now?
Okay.
You've got 3 days before your auction. What do you need from me right now? Do you need to stay in the property? How much equity do you have? Do you want to stay in the property for 30 days? I can do that. And I'll even put a little bit of money in your pocket.
Okay.
To help you with moving expenses. But if you want to stay in the property for a year, you better have enough equity to where I don't give a shit about my hard money expenses because the profit's going to be there no matter what.
Right. Because you sit on it for a year, then you rehab the property, then you flip the property.
Yep.
It's all gravy because
That's literally how I built out my portfolio on a number of deals where I've got the property at such a great equity value that I've done a BRRRR. I've rehabbed it, I've renovated it, I've refinanced it, and now I've got a established cash flowing property that will work for me for the next 30 years. And it's great. Yeah. Right?
That's another interesting thing I've been looking at too, like the idea of cash flowing. Like not just like, okay, so if my payment is $1,200 and I can rent it for $1,500, I'm not necessarily cash flowing $300 because you've got maintenance fees and vacancy, sure, set aside, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot more to it. It's not
20%. Take away 20% to capital expenditure, vacancy, stuff like that is kind of like, that's the liberal amount. You could even be safer and put even more aside. But if you could rent it for $1,500 and it's $1,200 every day, do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Even if you're breaking even. I've got properties I'm breaking even on right now.
But you're building equity.
Oh, I built equity already. Like I bought one of our properties that, well, I wouldn't say I take that back. We're not breaking even in the essence of one of them is rented for $1,550, and then our mortgage payment is like $1,225. Okay. technically speaking, I'm making like $300 a month, but I also had to go in and repair the AC. I had to repair the sprinklers. I had to do all, like, I'm underwater on this property. If all I'm caring about is making $250 to $300 a month, I'm underwater. But since I bought the property, I know the last time we looked at it, I think we've already made about $40,000 to $60,000 of equity in the appreciation of the property.
Okay.
So any day I'm okay breaking even on rent, especially if the property's in really good condition. I probably won't go down that road if it's like a property built in 1905 and it's never had any maintenance done to it.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
overall, cash flow is in this world, unless you're marketing to like Akron, Ohio, or like not the best areas of the country, you're probably not going to be cash flowing very much right now, which is why creative finance is so strong. Because we were talking to Cortland earlier. He has a property at 2.5%.
Yeah.
And he's going to make it into a co-living space, which now gives him even more upside. It also gives him downside, but it gives him more upside to make even more profit on the cash flow side. So that's why they came out of pocket $30,000 to buy the deal, and now they're going to keep it. So,
Okay.
so for them, they came out of pocket $30,000. Cortland, if you're still there, if you have the property fully occupied, what's your net?
If we're fully occupied, I'm 5,300 a month.
And your payment to the mortgage and everything at 2.5%
So
is?
my mortgage is $2,100 a month.
Okay.
And I have a private money lender at 12%, so 700. So I'm about 2,900 a month.
So let's round up to 3,000. You said that if it's fully occupied, you're at 5,500?
Yeah, or 53.
53. Okay, let's round down to 5,000. Okay,
Okay.
so $2,000 profit. That is that is fully occupied. Do you think that you're gonna be fully occupied for long periods?
I feel good about it.
Okay.
I feel good about it, but yeah, I mean, there's a chance where like, I think we can, one
Sure.
room short maybe. I mean, we've had a lot of interest, just like a fake post. So I feel good, but like I don't know.
What we don't know yet is you might be able to occupy it and have it be full, no vacancy. But then how long are those people going to stay?
Yeah.
Right. And that we don't know yet. But with that point being said, you're at about a $2,000 spread. Would you say so?
Yeah.
Okay. And you put $30,000 into it for the down payment. How much did you put in to renovate?
So we paid, I mean, all in, we borrowed 70.
Okay.
So we were 30 for the down, about 10 for renovations, 5 for yard stuff. And then there's like assignment, all the other fees in there,
Okay.
stuff like that.
So you're in it.
Some
for
holding
70
cost.
Yep. You're in it for 70,000 and you are netting $2,000 a month. That means that you've got 35 payments or 35 months. So essentially 1 month short of a year. If you guys take no profit and you just pay back your debt, then in 3 years, you're going to be broken even, right?
Yeah.
Not including appreciation. So for that, Steve, like that's what we want to look at as well is what is our investment into the property and what can we cash flow on it? And right now, a lot of properties like Cortland, if you were not pad splitting this, if you were not co-living this, it up in that area, what, 2,500?
Yeah,
Rental-
I'd probably be 25 to 3,000.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so at that point you're breaking even. But if you didn't renovate the property at
I
all,
wouldn't have borrowed. It would have been a different entry fee. I probably would have been 45K rather than 70.
Okay, so then it would have been less cash flow, more appreciation play. So I think in this case, with you going down the pad split route, financially it made more sense.
Yeah.
But let's hope that your vacancy is low.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of an experiment for sure.
Right. So, but either way though, after a year of this property being rented, you'll probably be able to make your 70,000 back in appreciation and principal pay down.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, Steve, does that all make sense about cash flow?
That makes a ton of sense. I was going to ask another follow-up question on that. So if you were looking at a property like what you're describing there with Cortland's property, right?
Right.
What would your ideal say or like comfortable area be for, like that? He's got 35 monthly payments to be fully paid off. If he takes no profit, just pays it out. If you were looking at it from that perspective, what would your ideal spot be? Like I'm cool with it, being fully paid off in 12 months, 24, 36. Like, do you kind of have like a shoot from the hip number that you're like, this is my ballpark idea?
that's your cash on cash. And for me, it's really a matter of like, I bought a property recently that we are going to be, our investment is going to be paid back in 10 months.
Okay.
Okay. And that I'm very happy with. After 10 months, I'm at an infinite return.
Yeah.
Infinite. And after 3 years, Cortland is at an infinite return.
Mm-hmm.
I think most investors would be fine with that as long as they're not having to come out of pocket every month and spend a lot of money.
So basically the property, you may not be seeing money in your pocket today, but it's fully paying for itself. And in time, you're golden, plus you're building equity.
Yeah. The scariest thing for Cortland, though, is the money that he borrowed, the $70,000. When is that balloon due, Cortland?
Yeah, we have a same as the term on the house. So it's
Right.
it's due when the other one's due. So 7 years.
Hell yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So Cortland is living free right now. Like, he's good. That means that technically speaking, he technically doesn't need to take a profit on this property. And I'm sure he's going to want to, but he technically could reinvest that $2,000 net per month in paying back the original debt if he wanted to. And I don't know if he's structured that way, but that's not important. But the whole point is after 35 payments of $2,000, he's basically paid off, not including the interest that would be accruing. Okay.
And I mean, basically, if it's a 7-year balloon, he could essentially take half of that cash flow as profit, and the other half goes to paying down the debt. So that way there's no balloon. It's just paid off monthly over 7 years.
Yeah, he could easily do that.
That's
So,
right
I
on.
mean,
that's cool.
if I was Cortland, the $2,000 a month we know is already calculating in the interest rate, right? That's already getting paid to the lender, right, Cortland?
Yes.
Okay. So that interest rate is being paid off, interest only, but now you still have a $70,000 principal payment down the road. So technically speaking, if you were to take $1,000 a month and pay off that principal, or $1,000 a month and put it into a savings account that you can apply towards other things, you take $1,000 profit and $1,000 goes to paying back that principal. And based off of this, 35 payments or 3 years, you would essentially in 6 years have paid off your debt entirely while you're taking $1,000 a month. So you're making $70,000 in profit, paying off $70,000 in principal, and then whatever the appreciation and the principal pay down is, that's even on top of that. So it's principal pay down, appreciation, and $70,000 in profit. That's a pretty good payday.
Yeah. That's like, yeah, that's
a
pretty
lot.
awesome.
That's a lot. Right. And safe to assume that at about 7 to 7.5 years, a property can easily double in value. And you said that property is $400,000. So is there a potential possibility that you can make an additional $350,000 plus the $70,000 profit? So basically you're making $400 to $450 profit on this deal. There you go.
Yeah. That sounds like a no-brainer.
That's creative finance. And Cortland structured it very well. If he had to have a balloon for his private money, then he's screwed. That would suck.
Yeah.
That would suck. But you structured it well. So good for you.
Yeah. We went out. Our thing was like finding people who aren't necessarily in real estate to fund it.
Yep.
That was our goal, was to find a guy who's like, hey, I have a 401k that makes not that much, and this is guaranteed whatever percent, and it's backed by a house.
Yep.
So
So in other words, you're not going to the chomp crew, right?
Nope.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's second position. I mean, we have a decent rate on second position because other people I know that lend there would be higher than that. So
Right. Yep, exactly. Well, good for you, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, we will, I think that kind of wraps it up. If anyone has any other questions, if you guys one more time are on YouTube, in the chat is going to be the link to join. If you guys want to join our private Discord community where all of these people are here right now asking questions about their business, this is your opportunity to join. I love for you guys to be here, and I'd love for you to join the investor semester. So thanks for being here, guys, and we'll see you guys next week. Okay. Cool.
Take care, bro. Thanks.
Later, guys. Bye.
Later.